In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where galaxies swirled like cosmic dust and stars ignited with fiery brilliance, an empire known as the Hegemony reigned supreme. Its tendrils extended across countless star systems, its influence felt by a myriad of species. Yet, within the hallowed halls of the Hegemony's central council chambers, a subtle discontent brewed. The Council of Elders, an assemblage of ancient beings, possessed wisdom and knowledge beyond mortal comprehension. Their minds, honed by eons of existence, had unraveled the mysteries of the universe, bending reality to their will. Yet, a sense of stagnation lingered, a yearning for a new challenge, a fresh enigma to unravel. Among them, Elder Kell, a being of immense intellect and insatiable curiosity, felt this discontent most acutely. His mind, a tapestry of intricate thoughts and boundless imagination, craved stimulation, a puzzle worthy of his prowess. As he gazed upon the holographic projections of countless worlds, his attention was drawn to a small, unremarkable blue planet nestled in the spiral arm of a distant galaxy. Earth, a primitive world teeming with a species known as humans. A species deemed insignificant, a mere footnote in the grand chronicle of the Hegemony's dominion. Yet, something about this world, this species, intrigued Kell. He sensed a spark of potential, a latent energy waiting to be unleashed. Driven by his insatiable curiosity, Kell proposed a daring initiative, Project Hummingbird, a clandestine operation designed to test the resilience of the human species. Kell believed that by introducing controlled stressors, subtle disruptions to their world, he could observe and analyze their response. It was a grand experiment, a test of mettle, a chance to witness the limits of human adaptability. The Council of Elders, intrigued by Kell's proposal and seeking to alleviate their own ennui, granted their approval. Project Hummingbird was set in motion, its tendrils reaching across the vastness of space, unseen and undetected by the unsuspecting humans. Deep within the Hegemony's scientific enclaves, a team of xenobiologists, handpicked by Kell, meticulously crafted their plan. They devised subtle manipulations, seemingly random events that would disrupt the delicate balance of Earth's systems. Their agents, disguised as benign cosmic phenomena, were dispatched to sow the seeds of chaos. On Earth, life continued its steady rhythm. Nations rose and fell, civilizations thrived and crumbled, all under the watchful gaze of the Hegemony. The humans, unaware of the forces at play, went about their lives, oblivious to the subtle disruptions that were about to unravel their world. The first subtle tremors of the Hegemony's interference manifested in the Earth's delicate climate systems. Unseen forces nudged atmospheric currents, subtly altering weather patterns across the globe. Regions accustomed to predictable seasons found themselves grappling with unseasonal droughts, while others experienced torrential downpours that tested the limits of their infrastructure. In the bustling metropolis of Tokyo, Dr. Anya Petrova, a rising star in the field of climatology, furrowed her brow as she analyzed the aberrant weather data. The patterns defied conventional models, hinting at an unseen hand at play. Anya, a woman of unwavering determination and insatiable curiosity, found herself drawn into the enigma. She shared her concerns with her colleagues, but their explanations fell short, leaving a lingering unease in her heart. Meanwhile, in the heart of the African savanna, Jamal Malik, a charismatic and passionate advocate for environmental justice, witnessed the devastating impact of the droughts on his community. Water sources dried up, crops withered, and livestock perished, pushing families to the brink of desperation. Jamal, a natural leader with a gift for uniting people, rallied his community, organizing relief efforts and seeking solutions to the worsening crisis. Across the globe, the Hegemony's agents continued their work, their actions masked as natural phenomena. They introduced subtle glitches into global communication networks, causing temporary disruptions in satellite transmissions, cellular signals, and internet connectivity. These disruptions, though brief, sowed seeds of confusion and frustration, amplifying the anxieties caused by the erratic weather patterns. In the financial capitals of the world, the Hegemony's influence manifested as subtle tremors in the markets. Stocks fluctuated erratically, currencies lost value, and economic forecasts grew increasingly uncertain. Maria Rodriguez, a sharp-witted financial analyst on Wall Street, noticed the anomalies. The data didn't add up, the patterns defied logic. A gnawing suspicion grew within her, a sense that something sinister was lurking beneath the surface. As the world grappled with these seemingly random events, a subtle shift occurred in the collective consciousness of humanity. A sense of unease permeated the air, a feeling that something was amiss. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, a spark of resilience ignited. People began to share information, to collaborate, to seek solutions to the challenges that beset them. The hegemony's subtle disruptions, intended to sow chaos and despair, inadvertently sparked a different kind of fire within humanity. A fire of unity, innovation, and an unyielding determination to overcome adversity. In the hallowed halls of the United Nations, representatives from every corner of the globe gathered for an emergency summit. The agenda: to address the escalating global crises and seek a coordinated response. Among the delegates, Dr. Anya Petrova, her reputation as a brilliant climatologist preceding her, presented her findings. She outlined the anomalies in the weather data, the patterns that defied natural explanation. Her words, backed by irrefutable evidence, ignited a firestorm of debate and discussion. Some delegates, skeptical and entrenched in their own national interests, dismissed Anya's claims as alarmist fear-mongering. But others, recognizing the gravity of the situation, listened intently. Jamal Malik, representing his community, and the countless others affected by the droughts, gave an impassioned plea for action. He spoke of the suffering, the loss, and the urgent need for global cooperation. Across the globe, the seeds of collaboration began to sprout. Scientists from different disciplines pooled their knowledge, sharing data and theories. Engineers from rival corporations put aside their differences, working together to develop resilient infrastructure and communication networks. Ordinary citizens formed community groups, sharing resources and supporting one another in the face of adversity. In the financial world, Maria Rodriguez, driven by her insatiable curiosity and a growing sense of responsibility, delved deeper into the market anomalies. She reached out to her network of contacts, seeking insights and alternative perspectives. Her efforts led her to an unlikely ally, a reclusive mathematician named Dr. Ethan Chen, who had been developing a revolutionary algorithm capable of detecting hidden patterns in complex systems. Together, Maria and Ethan formed an unlikely partnership, their combined intellect and expertise forming a formidable force. They worked tirelessly, analyzing vast amounts of data, seeking the elusive thread that connected the seemingly random events plaguing the world. Their collaboration, fueled by a shared sense of urgency, began to yield results, uncovering tantalizing clues that hinted at an unseen hand manipulating the very fabric of reality. As the world teetered on the brink of chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged from the crucible of crisis. Humanity, faced with unprecedented challenges, was rising to the occasion. The hegemony's agents, observing from the shadows, watched with a mixture of astonishment and growing unease. Their experiment, designed to test the limits of human resilience, had inadvertently unleashed a force far greater than they had anticipated. Within the heart of the hegemony, Elder Kell observed the unfolding events on Earth with a mix of fascination and a tinge of unease. The humans, far from succumbing to despair as anticipated, were defying expectations. Their resilience, their adaptability, their unwavering spirit, it was a spectacle that both captivated and unsettled him. In the council chambers, the debate over Project Hummingbird intensified. Some elders, staunch supporters of Kell's vision, argued that the experiment was proceeding as intended. The humans, they claimed, were merely adapting to the pressures, showcasing their evolutionary potential. Others, however, voiced concerns. They questioned the wisdom of meddling with a species that seemed to possess such hidden depths, such an unyielding will to survive and thrive. Among the dissenters was Elder Lyra, a being known for her empathy and compassion. She had always harbored reservations about Project Hummingbird, believing it to be a violation of the hegemony's principles of non-interference. Now, as she witnessed the unexpected consequences of their actions, her concerns deepened. She urged the council to reconsider their course, to cease the manipulations before the situation spiraled out of control. Cal, however, remained steadfast in his conviction. He argued that Project Hummingbird was a valuable learning experience, an opportunity to gain insights into the nature of resilience and the factors that drive a species to overcome adversity. He dismissed Lyra's concerns as unfounded sentimentality, a weakness that had no place in the pursuit of knowledge. As the debate raged within the council chambers, the Hegemony's agents on Earth continued their work. They escalated their manipulations, introducing more significant disruptions to the global systems. Cyberattacks crippled critical infrastructure, supply chains were disrupted, and social unrest simmered beneath the surface. On Earth, the challenges intensified, but so did humanity's resolve. Dr. Petrova's research on alternative energy sources yielded breakthroughs, paving the way for a decentralized power grid that was less vulnerable to disruption. Jamal Malik's global network expanded, its reach extending to every corner of the world, providing support, information, and a sense of solidarity. Maria Rodriguez and Dr. Ethan Chen, their partnership strengthened by their shared discoveries, continued to unravel the mysteries behind the global anomalies. Their algorithm, refined and honed, detected increasingly complex patterns, revealing the fingerprints of the Hegemony's interference. The evidence they gathered was irrefutable, a damning indictment of the Hegemony's clandestine operation. The Hegemony's clandestine operation, once a source of amusement and intellectual curiosity for Elder Kell, had transformed into a potential crisis. The humans, far from being a passive subject of study, were proving to be a formidable and unpredictable force. Within the council chambers, the once united front of the elders began to crumble. The dissenters, led by Elder Lyra, grew bolder in their condemnation of Project Hummingbird. They argued that Kell's arrogance and hubris had blinded him to the true potential of the human species. They called for an immediate cessation of all interference and a full disclosure of their actions to the galactic community. Kell, however, remained defiant. He clung to his belief that the experiment had yielded valuable data, providing insights into the resilience and adaptability of a species on the cusp of galactic significance. He argued that to abandon the project now would be a waste of a unique opportunity. The council was deadlocked, the elders divided on how to proceed. The debate grew heated, accusations flew, and long-standing alliances frayed. The Hegemony, once a bastion of unity and unwavering purpose, teetered on the brink of internal conflict. Meanwhile, on Earth, Maria Rodriguez and Dr. Ethan Chen reached a critical juncture in their investigation. Their algorithm, now a sophisticated tool capable of sifting through petabytes of data, had identified a recurring anomaly, a subtle energy signature that appeared in conjunction with every major disruption. This signature, they hypothesized, was the telltale sign of the Hegemony's interference. With the evidence in hand, Maria and Ethan faced a daunting decision. To whom should they reveal their findings? They knew that the world was not ready for the truth, that the revelation of an advanced alien civilization manipulating events on Earth would trigger widespread panic and chaos. Yet, they also understood the importance of exposing the Hegemony's actions, of holding them accountable for their interference. In a clandestine meeting, they decided to reach out to a trusted contact within the United Nations, a high-ranking official with a reputation for integrity and discretion. They shared their findings, their evidence, and their concerns. The official, initially skeptical, was ultimately convinced by the sheer weight of their data and the urgency of their plea. The wheels of change were set in motion, a chain of events that would reverberate across the cosmos. The Hegemony's clandestine operation, once shrouded in secrecy, was about to be exposed to the light of day. The consequences of their actions, the echo of their regret, would soon resound throughout the galaxy. Within the labyrinthine corridors of the United Nations headquarters, a clandestine meeting of utmost importance was underway. The high-ranking official, whose identity remained shrouded in secrecy, listened intently as Maria Rodriguez and Dr. Ethan Chen presented their findings. Their words, backed by irrefutable evidence, painted a chilling picture of a powerful alien civilization manipulating events on Earth. The official, a seasoned diplomat accustomed to navigating the treacherous waters of international politics, was shaken by the revelations. The implications were staggering, the potential for global panic and chaos immense. Yet, he recognized the undeniable truth in Maria and Ethan's data, the chilling reality of the hegemony's interference. After a tense and lengthy discussion, a decision was made. The official, with the full backing of the United Nations Security Council, agreed to take the evidence to the world stage. The time for secrecy was over. The time for transparency and accountability had come. In a carefully orchestrated address, the official revealed the hegemony's actions to the world. He spoke of the subtle manipulations, the disruptions to global systems, and the chilling intent behind it all. The news sent shockwaves across the globe, sparking a maelstrom of emotions: fear, anger, disbelief, and a growing sense of defiance. The hegemony, caught off guard by the sudden exposure, scrambled to contain the fallout. Elder Kell, facing a barrage of accusations and condemnation from within the council chambers, found himself increasingly isolated. His supporters, once steadfast in their loyalty, began to waver, their confidence shaken by the mounting evidence of his hubris. Elder Lyra, seizing the opportunity, rallied the dissenters, their voices growing louder and more insistent. They demanded that Kell be held accountable for his actions, that the hegemony make amends for the harm they had inflicted upon Earth. The council chambers became a battleground of conflicting ideologies, a microcosm of the larger conflict that was unfolding across the cosmos. On Earth, the revelation of the hegemony's interference ignited a firestorm of activity. Governments convened emergency sessions, scientists scrambled to analyze the data, and ordinary citizens took to the streets, their voices raised in a chorus of defiance. The global community, once fragmented and divided, coalesced into a united front, determined to protect their planet and their future. The revelation of the hegemony's clandestine operations sent shockwaves across the globe. News outlets broadcast the story around the clock. Social media erupted with a frenzy of speculation and outrage, and public demonstrations filled city streets. Humanity, once divided by borders and ideologies, found itself united in its condemnation of the hegemony's actions. In scientific circles, a sense of urgency permeated the air. Researchers, who had once focused on theoretical models and abstract concepts, now found themselves working feverishly to analyze the data provided by Maria Rodriguez and Dr. Ethan Chen. Their findings confirmed the hegemony's interference, revealing the subtle manipulations that had affected everything from weather patterns to financial markets. The United Nations became the epicenter of a global response. Diplomats from every nation gathered for emergency sessions, their voices raised in a chorus of condemnation. Demands for accountability echoed through the hallowed halls, as leaders from around the world grappled with the implications of the hegemony's actions. In the midst of the chaos, a new generation of leaders emerged. Dr. Anya Petrova, her scientific expertise and unwavering determination now recognized on a global scale, became a symbol of hope and resilience. She spearheaded a collaborative effort to develop alternative energy sources, utilizing her groundbreaking research to create a decentralized power grid that was less vulnerable to external manipulation. Jamal Malik, his global network now a vital lifeline for millions, emerged as a powerful voice for change. He harnessed the collective energy of the people, organizing grassroots movements, advocating for transparency, and demanding accountability from those in power. His message of unity and resilience resonated across the globe, inspiring millions to stand up and fight for their future. The hegemony, meanwhile, found itself on the defensive. Their once unquestioned authority was now under scrutiny, their actions exposed to the galactic community. Elder Kell, facing mounting pressure from within the council chambers, struggled to maintain control. His supporters, once steadfast in their loyalty, began to distance themselves, fearing the repercussions of his reckless actions. Elder Lyra, her voice now amplified by the growing dissent within the council, seized the opportunity to challenge Kell's leadership. She called for a full and transparent investigation into Project Hummingbird, demanding that the hegemony take responsibility for the harm they had inflicted upon Earth. The council chambers became a battleground of conflicting ideologies, a microcosm of the larger conflict that was unfolding across the cosmos. The hegemony's grip on power, once absolute and unyielding, began to weaken as the consequences of Project Hummingbird reverberated throughout their vast empire. News of their clandestine operations spread like wildfire among the countless alien civilizations that fell under their dominion, sparking a wave of unrest and dissent. The once loyal subjects, who had long viewed the hegemony as benevolent overlords, now questioned their motives and their right to rule. Rebellions ignited on distant planets, their flames fueled by a growing sense of injustice and a desire for self-determination. The hegemony's military forces, once invincible, found themselves stretched thin, struggling to contain the growing unrest. Within the council chambers, the once hallowed halls of power were transformed into a cauldron of discord. The elders, their unity shattered, engaged in bitter debates and power struggles. Accusations flew, alliances shifted, and the very foundation of the hegemony trembled under the weight of internal strife. Elder Kell, once a revered figure, now found himself a pariah, his reputation tarnished by the disastrous consequences of his actions. He clung desperately to power, but his authority dwindled with each passing day, as more and more elders turned against him. Elder Lyra, her influence growing with a rising tide of dissent, became a beacon of hope for those who sought a new path for the hegemony. She advocated for a radical shift in policy, calling for an end to the empire's expansionist ambitions and a greater emphasis on diplomacy and cooperation with other civilizations. On Earth, humanity continued to rally in the face of adversity. The global community, united by a shared sense of outrage and determination, channeled their collective energy into a series of ambitious projects. Dr. Petrova's alternative energy grid, now nearing completion, promised to liberate humanity from its dependence on fossil fuels and reduce its vulnerability to external manipulation. Jamal Malik's global network, now a powerful force for social change, launched a series of initiatives aimed at promoting sustainable development, social justice, and cultural exchange. His efforts, amplified by the collective will of millions, began to transform the planet, creating a more equitable and harmonious society. As the world watched with bated breath, the hegemony's fate hung in the balance. Would the once mighty empire crumble under the weight of its own hubris? Or would it find a way to adapt, to evolve, and to emerge from the crisis stronger than before? The answer, it seemed, lay in the hands of the countless individuals, both human and alien, who were rising up to challenge the status quo and forge a new path for the galaxy. Amidst the turbulence, the United Nations Security Council convened an unprecedented meeting, inviting Dr. Anya Petrova and Jamal Malik to present their insights. The chamber buzzed with a nervous energy, diplomats from every nation hanging on their every word. Anya, with her calm demeanor and meticulous data, outlined the hegemony's actions, emphasizing their insidious nature and the potential consequences for humanity. Jamal, his voice filled with righteous indignation, spoke of the human cost of the hegemony's interference, highlighting the suffering and loss inflicted upon innocent communities around the world. The Security Council, once a stage for political posturing and diplomatic maneuvering, was transformed into a crucible of unity. Nations that had once been rivals found common ground in their shared outrage. A resolution was drafted, condemning the hegemony's actions and calling for an immediate end to their interference. The vote was unanimous, a resounding declaration of humanity's defiance. News of the Security Council's resolution reached the farthest corners of the globe, galvanizing the already fervent spirit of resistance. The world's media outlets, once hesitant to report on the controversial claims of alien interference, now embraced the story with a fervor, amplifying the voices of those who sought justice and accountability. The hegemony's attempts to downplay the situation and maintain their facade of benevolence were met with scorn and ridicule. Their carefully crafted propaganda campaigns fell on deaf ears. Their diplomats were met with cold silence in international forums. The empire's reputation, once a pillar of stability and order, lay in tatters, its credibility eroded by the weight of its own deceit. Within the hegemony's council chambers, the calls for Kel's resignation reached a fever pitch. Even his most ardent supporters, realizing the futility of their position, began to distance themselves from the disgraced elder. In a desperate attempt to salvage the situation, Kel proposed a radical solution, a direct dialogue with the human leaders, a chance to explain their actions and seek a peaceful resolution. The council, weary of conflict and eager to avoid further damage to the hegemony's reputation, reluctantly agreed to Kel's proposal. A delegation of elders, led by Kel himself, was dispatched to Earth, their mission to engage in diplomacy and defuse the escalating crisis. As the hegemony's delegation prepared for their journey, a sense of anticipation and apprehension hung in the air. The fate of two civilizations, the future of the galaxy itself, rested on the delicate balance of diplomacy and the choices that would be made in the days to come. The arrival of the hegemony delegation on Earth was met with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Their sleek spacecraft descended upon the United Nations headquarters, a symbol of both their technological prowess and their perceived arrogance. The world watched with bated breath as the elders, led by Elder Kel, emerged from their vessel, their imposing figures clad in ornate robes that shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence. A carefully choreographed welcome ceremony was held, a display of diplomatic courtesy masking the underlying tension. The delegates were escorted to the General Assembly Hall, where they were greeted by a carefully selected group of human leaders, including Dr. Anya Petrova and Jamal Malik. The negotiations began in a tense atmosphere. Kel, attempting to project an air of contrition, acknowledged the hegemony's actions but defended them as a scientific endeavor, a harmless experiment designed to study human resilience. He expressed regret for any unintended consequences and offered a vague promise of restitution. Anya Petrova, her scientific mind sharp and her resolve unwavering, countered Kel's claims with a calm but firm rebuttal. She presented the overwhelming evidence of the hegemony's manipulation, highlighting the devastating impact on human lives and the potential for global catastrophe. Her words, delivered with a quiet eloquence, resonated with the assembled leaders, reminding them of the stakes involved. Jamal Malik, his voice brimming with passion and righteous anger, spoke for the countless victims of the hegemony's actions. He recounted the stories of suffering and loss, the families torn apart by droughts, the communities ravaged by economic turmoil. His words, delivered with raw emotion, pierced through the diplomatic veneer, reminding everyone of the human cost of the hegemony's hubris. The negotiations dragged on for days, a tense dance of diplomatic posturing and veiled threats. The hegemony delegates, realizing the depth of human anger and resolve, became increasingly desperate. They offered concessions, promises of technological assistance, and even a pledge to withdraw their forces from Earth's vicinity. But the humans, emboldened by their newfound unity and the unwavering support of the global community, refused to be appeased. They demanded more than mere promises. They demanded justice, accountability, and a guarantee that the hegemony would never again interfere in their affairs. The negotiations reached an impasse, neither side willing to budge from their demands. The hegemony delegates, bound by their pride and a sense of superiority, struggled to grasp the depth of humanity's anger and resolve. They offered concessions, but their gestures were seen as insincere and self-serving. In a final, desperate attempt to sway the human leaders, Kel appealed to their reason, highlighting the potential benefits of cooperation with the hegemony. He spoke of advanced technologies, access to vast resources, and the opportunity to join the galactic community as equals. But his words rang hollow, overshadowed by the echoes of the hegemony's deceit and manipulation. Anya Petrova, her patience wearing thin, rose to address the delegation. Her voice, calm and measured, cut through the tension in the room. She reminded them of the countless lives that had been disrupted, the irreparable harm inflicted upon the planet. She spoke of the human spirit, its resilience, and its unwavering determination to chart its own destiny. Jamal Malik, his eyes blazing with righteous fury, followed Anya's lead. He condemned the hegemony's arrogance, their disregard for human life, and their misguided belief that they could control the fate of a species they barely understood. His words resonated with the assembled leaders, fueling their resolve and hardening their stance. The negotiations collapsed, the hegemony delegates returning to their spacecraft empty-handed and humiliated. The world watched as their vessel ascended into the sky, a symbol of their failed diplomacy and their waning power. In the aftermath of the failed negotiations, a sense of grim determination settled over humanity. The leaders of the world, united by a shared purpose, began to prepare for the possibility of conflict. Dr. Petrova's energy shield project was accelerated, its completion now a matter of utmost urgency. Jamal Malik's global network mobilized, its members preparing for any eventuality. The hegemony, meanwhile, faced a crisis of leadership. Kel, his reputation in tatters, was forced to resign from the council, his once bright future now shrouded in shame. Elder Lyra, her position strengthened by the events on Earth, emerged as a leading voice for change. She advocated for a new era of diplomacy and cooperation, urging the hegemony to learn from its mistakes and forge a more equitable relationship with other civilizations. But the damage had been done. The hegemony's actions had unleashed a wave of distrust and resentment across the galaxy. The once mighty empire, weakened by internal strife and external pressure, teetered on the brink of collapse. The seeds of its downfall had been sown, and the echoes of its regret would haunt it for generations to come. The departure of the hegemony delegation marked a turning point in the unfolding crisis. The failed negotiations solidified humanity's resolve and ignited a global movement for self-determination. No longer content to be pawns in a cosmic game, the people of Earth demanded a voice, a place at the table of galactic affairs. A wave of innovation swept across the planet as scientists, engineers, and inventors rallied to bolster humanity's defenses. Dr. Petrova's energy shield project, once a theoretical concept, became a tangible reality. Massive generators, powered by the newly discovered clean energy source, hummed to life, their interconnected network forming an invisible barrier around the planet. The shield, while not impenetrable, was a powerful deterrent, a symbol of humanity's defiance and technological prowess. Jamal Malik's global network, now a well-oiled machine, orchestrated a series of peaceful protests and acts of civil disobedience. They targeted hegemony-controlled corporations, disrupted their operations, and exposed their unethical practices. The network's reach extended even into the hegemony's own territory, as sympathizers within the empire leaked sensitive information and sowed seeds of dissent. Meanwhile, the hegemony's grip on power continued to unravel. Rebellions on distant planets intensified, fueled by the news of the failed negotiations and the growing discontent among the empire's subjects. The Council of Elders, once a beacon of unity and wisdom, was now paralyzed by infighting and political maneuvering. Elder Lyra, seizing the opportunity, presented a bold proposal, a complete overhaul of the hegemony's governance structure, a transition from an autocratic empire to a more democratic and inclusive federation. Her vision resonated with many who had grown weary of the elders' heavy-handed rule and their disregard for the will of the people. Kel, his influence waning but his ambition undimmed, refused to accept defeat. He plotted in the shadows, seeking to regain his lost power and restore the hegemony's dominance. He forged alliances with like-minded elders, those who clung to the old ways, who believed that strength and control were the only paths to order and prosperity. As the hegemony descended into political chaos, the galactic community watched with a mixture of fascination and concern. Some saw an opportunity to break free from the empire's yoke, while others feared the consequences of a power vacuum in the region. On Earth, humanity prepared for an uncertain future. They knew that the hegemony would not easily relinquish its grip on power, that a confrontation was inevitable. But they also knew that they were no longer alone. The global community, united by a shared purpose, stood ready to defend their planet and their right to self-determination. The hegemony's inner turmoil spilled onto the galactic stage, their once solid image of unity fracturing before the eyes of countless star systems. News feeds and data streams hummed with speculation, anxiety, and a growing sense of anticipation. The hegemony's vast network of alliances began to waver, their grip on trade routes loosening, as other civilizations sensed an opportunity in the Empire's vulnerability. Meanwhile, a clandestine meeting occurred in a secluded corner of the cosmos. Representatives from several alien species, each harboring their own grievances against the hegemony, gathered in secrecy. They had watched with interest as humanity defied the Empire, their actions a beacon of hope in a galaxy dominated by fear and subjugation. Now, they sought to forge an alliance, a coalition of the oppressed, united in their desire to break free from the hegemony's yoke. Among these representatives was Ambassador Kale, a wise and respected diplomat from the planet Xylia. His people had suffered greatly under the hegemony's rule, their resources exploited, their culture suppressed. Kale saw in humanity's defiance a chance to reclaim his people's freedom, to forge a new path for the galaxy. As the representatives discussed their shared grievances and strategized their next moves, they were joined by an unexpected guest, Elder Lyra. She had risked everything to escape the hegemony, seeking allies who shared her vision for a more just and equitable galaxy. Her arrival was met with a mix of surprise and cautious optimism. Could this be the turning point, the catalyst that would finally bring about the downfall of the tyrannical empire? Back on Earth, Dr. Anya Petrova and Jamal Malik found themselves thrust into the spotlight. Their expertise and leadership were in high demand, as governments and organizations sought their guidance in navigating the uncertain waters ahead. Anya, once a solitary researcher, now led a global team of scientists, their combined intellect focused on harnessing the power of her energy shield technology. Jamal, his voice amplified by a vast network of followers, became a symbol of hope and defiance. He traveled the globe, speaking to packed stadiums and addressing virtual audiences, his message of unity and resilience resonating with people from all walks of life. His charisma and unwavering conviction inspired a new generation of activists, eager to join the fight for a better future. The world held its breath as the tension between humanity and the hegemony reached a fever pitch. The balance of power in the galaxy hung precariously, the fate of countless civilizations resting on the choices that would be made in the days to come. The clandestine meeting in the remote corner of the cosmos continued, its importance growing with each passing hour. Elder Lyra, her voice filled with a quiet determination, laid bare the hegemony's transgressions, her words a stark indictment of the Empire's oppressive rule. She spoke of the countless worlds exploited, the cultures suppressed, the voices silenced. Her words resonated with the assembled representatives, each of them carrying their own burdens of suffering and injustice. Ambassador Kale, his heart heavy with the memories of his people's struggles, rose to address the gathering. He spoke of the Xylians' rich history, their vibrant culture, and their unwavering spirit in the face of oppression. He shared stories of the hegemony's atrocities, the forced labor, the environmental devastation, and the systematic erasure of their traditions. As Kale spoke, a wave of empathy and solidarity swept through the room. The representatives, hailing from diverse worlds and cultures, found common ground in their shared experiences of suffering and their burning desire for freedom. They pledged to support one another, to pool their resources and expertise, to form a united front against the hegemony. Elder Lyra, heartened by the outpouring of support, outlined her vision for a new galactic order. She spoke of a federation of free worlds, united in their commitment to peace, cooperation, and mutual respect. A federation where diversity was celebrated, where every voice was heard, and where every species had the right to self-determination. The representatives, inspired by Lyra's vision, began to formulate a plan of action. They agreed to establish a network of covert communication channels, to share intelligence and coordinate their efforts. They pledged to support the rebellions on hegemony-controlled planets, providing them with resources and safe havens, and they vowed to expose the hegemony's crimes to the wider galactic community to galvanize support for their cause. As the meeting drew to a close, a sense of hope and determination filled the room. The seeds of a new alliance had been sown, its roots reaching deep into the fertile soil of shared suffering and a common yearning for freedom. The hegemony's days of dominance were numbered, its reign of terror drawing to a close. On Earth, humanity continued its preparations for the inevitable confrontation. Dr. Petrova's energy shield was now fully operational, its protective embrace shielding the planet from potential attacks. Jamal Malik's global network, now a vast web of interconnected communities, stood ready to mobilize at a moment's notice. The world held its breath, waiting for the Hegemony's next move. The Hegemony's delegation returned to their homeworld, their tails tucked between their legs. The news of their failure spread rapidly throughout the empire, fueling the flames of rebellion and dissent. Kel, once a revered figure, was now a symbol of the Hegemony's weakness and incompetence. His fall from grace was swift and merciless, as he was stripped of his rank and banished to a remote outpost on the fringes of the empire. Elder Lyra, her influence growing with each passing day, emerged as the de facto leader of the Hegemony. She faced a daunting task: to restore order to a fractured empire, to rebuild its shattered reputation, and to chart a new course for the future. She knew that the old ways, the ways of dominance and control, were no longer viable. The Hegemony had to evolve or perish. With the support of a growing number of like-minded elders, Lyra initiated a series of sweeping reforms. She dismantled the oppressive institutions that had long been the hallmark of the Hegemony's rule, replacing them with more democratic and inclusive structures. She reached out to the rebel factions, offering amnesty and a chance to participate in the rebuilding of the empire. Lyra's efforts, while met with resistance from some hardliners, slowly began to bear fruit. The rebellion subsided, replaced by a cautious optimism. The Hegemony's subjects, who had long endured oppression and exploitation, saw a glimmer of hope for a better future. On Earth, humanity watched the developments within the Hegemony with a mix of skepticism and cautious optimism. They knew that the empire's transformation would not be easy, that the scars of the past would not heal overnight. But they also saw an opportunity, a chance to forge a new relationship based on mutual respect and cooperation. Dr. Petrova, her energy shield now a shining beacon of human ingenuity, turned her attention to the next challenge: harnessing the shield's power for peaceful purposes. She envisioned a network of energy transfer stations that could provide clean, renewable energy to every corner of the globe, ending humanity's reliance on fossil fuels and mitigating the effects of climate change. Jamal Malik, his global network now a powerful force for social change, continued to advocate for a more just and equitable world. He organized international conferences, bringing together leaders from all walks of life to discuss solutions to the planet's most pressing problems. His efforts, amplified by the power of the internet and social media, sparked a global conversation about the future of humanity and its place in the cosmos. As humanity and the Hegemony navigated the uncharted waters of their new relationship, the galactic community watched with bated breath. The balance of power had shifted, the old order overturned. A new era was dawning, an era of uncertainty, but also of hope and potential. The Hegemony, now under Elder Lyra's leadership, embarked on a delicate dance of diplomacy and damage control. They extended olive branches to the rebel factions, offering concessions and promises of reform. They dispatched envoys to neighboring civilizations, seeking to mend broken alliances and restore their tarnished reputation. Yet, their efforts were met with skepticism and distrust. The scars of their past actions ran deep, and many doubted the sincerity of their newfound commitment to peace and cooperation. The rebellions continued to simmer, fueled by a deep-seated resentment towards the Hegemony and a thirst for vengeance. On Earth, humanity's newfound unity was tested as the reality of the Hegemony's threat sank in. Fear and uncertainty gripped the hearts of many as they grappled with the possibility of a galactic war. But amidst the fear, a spirit of defiance and determination also emerged. People from all walks of life rallied together, their voices raised in a chorus of solidarity. Dr. Petrova's energy shield became a symbol of hope and protection, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and resilience. Its gleaming dome, visible from space, served as a powerful reminder that Earth was no longer a passive bystander in the galactic arena. Jamal Malik's global network, now a formidable force for social change, harnessed the collective energy of the people. They organized mass demonstrations, their voices echoing across continents, demanding justice and accountability from the hegemony. They launched boycotts of hegemony-controlled corporations, their economic impact sending shockwaves through the empire's financial markets. The clandestine alliance forged in the remote corner of the cosmos continued to grow, its influence spreading like wildfire. Their network of covert communication channels hummed with activity as they coordinated their efforts and shared intelligence. The rebellions on hegemony-controlled planets intensified, their ranks swelling with new recruits inspired by humanity's defiance. As the tension between the hegemony and its former subjects escalated, a new player entered the galactic stage, the Galactic Federation, a coalition of independent civilizations. The Federation had long been a silent observer of the hegemony's dominance. Now, sensing an opportunity to reshape the balance of power, they began to exert their influence. The Federation dispatched envoys to both Earth and the hegemony, offering to mediate the conflict and prevent a full-scale war. Their motives were shrouded in secrecy, their true intentions a mystery to all but their innermost circle. But their presence added a new layer of complexity to the unfolding drama, a wild card that could tip the scales in favor of either side. The Galactic Federation's arrival in the Sol system was a spectacle that captivated the world. Their fleet, a majestic armada of gleaming vessels, emerged from the cosmic void, their arrival heralded by a shimmering aurora that danced across the night sky. The Federation's flagship, the Unity, a colossal vessel dwarfing even the largest human spacecraft, descended upon Earth, its imposing silhouette casting a long shadow over the planet. A delegation of Federation representatives, led by the enigmatic High Counselor, disembarked from the Unity and were greeted by a nervous but resolute group of human leaders. The meeting took place in a specially constructed chamber within the United Nations headquarters, its walls adorned with symbols of peace and cooperation. The High Counselor, a being of immense wisdom and gravitas, addressed the assembled leaders with a calm and measured voice. They spoke of the Federation's commitment to galactic peace and stability, their concern over the escalating tensions between humanity and the hegemony, and their desire to mediate a peaceful resolution. The human leaders, wary of the Federation's motives but desperate to avoid war, listened intently. They outlined their grievances against the hegemony, the manipulation, the exploitation, and the blatant disregard for their autonomy. They spoke of their determination to protect their planet and their right to self-determination, their willingness to fight if necessary. The High Counselor listened patiently, nodding in understanding. They acknowledged the hegemony's transgressions, expressing their disapproval of their actions. They offered the Federation's assistance in resolving the conflict, proposing a series of diplomatic initiatives aimed at bringing the hegemony to the negotiating table. But the human leaders were not easily swayed. They had been deceived before, their trust betrayed by the hegemony's false promises. They questioned the Federation's impartiality, their true intentions in intervening in the conflict. They demanded guarantees, assurances that the Federation would not simply replace the hegemony as a new overlord. The High Counselor, anticipating their concerns, responded with a carefully crafted speech. They spoke of the Federation's principles of non-interference, their commitment to diversity and self-determination. They offered to share their advanced technologies with humanity, to help them rebuild and prosper. They even proposed a formal alliance, a partnership based on mutual respect and shared interests. The human leaders, their skepticism slowly giving way to cautious optimism, began to consider the Federation's offer. They recognized the potential benefits of such an alliance, the access to advanced knowledge and resources that could propel humanity into a new era of prosperity and technological advancement. But they also knew that the decision they made would have far-reaching consequences, not just for themselves, but for the entire galaxy. In the hallowed halls of the United Nations, the weight of the decision bore down on the human leaders. The offer from the Galactic Federation, while tempting with promises of knowledge and resources, was not without its risks. Accepting their help could lead to dependence, a mere shifting of the chains from one overlord to another. Anya Petrova, ever the pragmatist, saw the potential benefits of an alliance. The Federation's technology could revolutionize human society, providing solutions to energy scarcity, environmental degradation, and countless other problems. But she also recognized the dangers of becoming entangled in galactic politics, of becoming a pawn in a larger game. Jamal Malik, his distrust of authority deeply ingrained, was more hesitant. He feared that the Federation, despite their benevolent facade, harbored their own agenda, their own ambitions for power and control. He argued for a more cautious approach, for strengthening humanity's own capabilities and relying on their own ingenuity to face the challenges ahead. The debate raged for days, the world leaders weighing the pros and cons, their every word scrutinized by a global audience hungry for answers. The media, sensing the historic significance of the moment, provided round-the-clock coverage, their cameras capturing every nuance of the debate. Ultimately, the decision rested with the Secretary General of the United Nations, a seasoned diplomat known for his wisdom and prudence. After careful consideration and consultation with advisors from all walks of life, he announced humanity's decision. They would accept the Galactic Federation's offer of alliance, but with strict conditions. The Federation would be granted limited access to Earth's technology and resources, in exchange for sharing their own knowledge and expertise. They would be allowed to establish a diplomatic presence on the planet, but their activities would be closely monitored and regulated, and most importantly, they would be required to respect humanity's autonomy and sovereignty, their right to self-determination. The announcement was met with a mix of relief and trepidation. Some hailed it as a bold step forward, a chance for humanity to join the galactic community on its own terms. Others expressed concern, fearing the potential consequences of inviting a powerful alien civilization into their midst. But the decision had been made, the die cast. The Galactic Federation's envoys, their faces carefully neutral, accepted the terms of the alliance. The Unity remained in orbit, its imposing presence a constant reminder of the new reality that humanity now faced. The Galactic Federation's presence on Earth was a whirlwind of activity and cultural exchange. Their scientists and engineers, eager to share their knowledge and expertise, collaborated with their human counterparts on a wide range of projects. Dr. Anya Petrova found herself working alongside a brilliant Zylosian physicist named Dr. Lauda, their combined intellect unlocking new possibilities for energy generation and distribution. Together, they refined the energy shield technology, expanding its capabilities and making it even more resilient to potential attacks. Jamal Malik, meanwhile, found common ground with a charismatic Andromedan activist named Kayla. They shared a passion for social justice and a deep-seated belief in the power of collective action. Together, they organized a series of interspecies cultural exchanges, showcasing the diversity and richness of both human and alien traditions. These exchanges fostered understanding and empathy, breaking down barriers of fear and suspicion. The Federation's presence was not without its challenges. Some humans, wary of the aliens' intentions, protested their presence, accusing them of being wolves in sheep's clothing. Conspiracy theories flourished, fueled by fear and misinformation, but the majority of humanity embraced the opportunity for collaboration, recognizing the potential benefits of such an alliance. Within the Hegemony, Elder Lyra's reforms faced stiff opposition from the old guard, those who clung to the Empire's traditional values of dominance and control. They saw the alliance with humanity and the Federation as a sign of weakness, a betrayal of the Hegemony's legacy. They plotted in the shadows, seeking to undermine Lyra's authority and restore the Empire to its former glory. Kel, exiled to the fringes of the Empire, seethed with resentment. He blamed Lyra for his downfall, for the humiliation he had suffered at the hands of the humans. He vowed to return, to reclaim his rightful place as leader of the Hegemony, and to exact revenge on those who had wronged him. As the political landscape shifted and alliances realigned, the galaxy held its breath. The stage was set for a showdown, a clash of ideologies and ambitions that would determine the fate of countless civilizations. The delicate balance of power in the galaxy teetered on a knife's edge, each faction cautiously eyeing the other, each move calculated with strategic precision. The Hegemony, weakened but not yet defeated, grappled with internal dissent and the growing threat of rebellion. Elder Lyra's reforms, while gaining traction among the populace, faced fierce resistance from the old guard, who clung to their traditional ways and yearned for a return to the Empire's former glory. Cal, exiled and disgraced, remained a dangerous wild card. His bitterness and thirst for revenge festered in the shadows, fueling his determination to reclaim his lost power. He gathered a small but loyal following, their ranks filled with disgruntled military officers, disaffected nobles, and those who still believed in the hegemony's iron-fisted rule. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity continued to make strides in its technological and social development. Dr. Petrova's Energy Shield project had evolved into a global network of interconnected energy nodes, providing clean, renewable energy to every corner of the planet. The shield's protective embrace not only deterred potential aggression, but also served as a symbol of humanity's newfound strength and unity. Jamal Malik's global network, bolstered by the influx of new members and resources, launched a series of ambitious initiatives aimed at addressing the planet's most pressing problems. They tackled poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation with renewed vigor, their efforts amplified by the power of collective action. The Galactic Federation, their alliance with humanity solidified, began to play a more active role in galactic affairs. They dispatched diplomatic envoys to mediate conflicts, provided humanitarian aid to struggling planets, and worked to strengthen the bonds of cooperation between different civilizations. Their presence, once viewed with suspicion, gradually gained acceptance as they proved their commitment to peace and stability. The clandestine alliance of rebel factions, inspired by humanity's defiance, grew bolder in their actions. They launched daring raids on hegemony outposts, sabotaging their infrastructure and liberating oppressed populations. Their guerrilla tactics, honed over years of struggle, proved surprisingly effective against the Empire's lumbering war machine. As the galaxy watched with bated breath, the stage was set for a showdown. The hegemony, weakened but still dangerous, faced a growing coalition of forces determined to dismantle its oppressive regime. Humanity, once a mere footnote in the Galactic Chronicle, had become a key player in the unfolding drama, their actions shaping the destiny of the cosmos. As tensions escalated, a clandestine meeting took place on a neutral planet, a desolate rock far removed from the prying eyes of the hegemony and the watchful gaze of the Galactic Federation. The leaders of the rebel factions, their faces hardened by years of struggle and oppression, gathered in a dimly lit chamber, their voices hushed as they discussed their plans. Ambassador Kale, his diplomatic skills honed over decades of service to his people, laid out the situation in stark terms. The hegemony was weakened, but far from defeated. Their military might, though stretched thin, remained a formidable threat. Their intelligence network, though compromised, still had eyes and ears in every corner of the galaxy. The rebels, while numerous and determined, lacked the resources and coordination to mount a full-scale assault. The mood in the chamber was somber, the weight of responsibility heavy on the shoulders of those present. But amidst the gloom, a spark of hope flickered. They had come too far, sacrificed too much, to back down now. They had a vision for a better future, a galaxy free from the hegemony's tyranny, and they would not rest until it was realized. After hours of intense debate and strategic planning, a daring plan emerged. They would launch a series of coordinated attacks on key hegemony installations, disrupting their communication networks, crippling their supply lines, and sowing chaos within their ranks. The goal was not to defeat the hegemony outright, but to weaken them, to expose their vulnerability, and to inspire a mass uprising among their oppressed subjects. The plan was risky, fraught with danger and uncertainty, but the rebels, driven by desperation and a burning desire for freedom, were willing to take the gamble. They knew that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders, that their actions would shape the course of history. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity watched the unfolding events with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. They had forged an alliance with the Galactic Federation, but they knew that their newfound allies were not without their own agenda. The Federation's motives remained shrouded in secrecy, their true intentions a mystery to all but their innermost circle. Dr. Petrova and Jamal Malik, their influence growing with each passing day, became symbols of hope and resistance. They continued their work, their efforts bolstered by the support of the global community and the growing network of rebel factions. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges and setbacks, but they were determined to see it through to the end. The galaxy held its breath as the tension mounted, the lines of conflict drawn in the cosmic sand. The fate of countless civilizations hung in the balance, the future of the galaxy itself poised on a precipice. The time for decisive action had come. The rebel offensive began in a blaze of defiance, a symphony of coordinated chaos orchestrated across the vast expanse of the hegemony. The first strike targeted the Empire's communication hubs, strategically located satellites and relay stations that served as the backbone of their interstellar network. Teams of skilled hackers, drawn from various rebel factions and aided by sympathizers within the hegemony, unleashed a barrage of sophisticated cyberattacks. The hegemony's channels of communication fell silent, their command and control systems thrown into disarray. Simultaneously, covert teams infiltrated key industrial centers and supply depots, sabotaging vital infrastructure and disrupting the flow of resources. Explosions rocked shipyards, plunging them into darkness and halting the production of new warships. Sabotage on transport hubs caused delays and shortages, crippling the hegemony's ability to deploy reinforcements to embattled planets. The rebels, emboldened by their initial successes, launched a series of daring raids on high-value targets. They targeted research facilities, stealing valuable data and disrupting ongoing projects. They attacked military bases, capturing weapons and supplies. They even managed to free prisoners from the hegemony's infamous penal colonies, adding to their growing ranks. The hegemony, caught off guard by the speed and ferocity of the attacks, struggled to mount an effective response. Their once mighty war machine, designed to suppress large-scale rebellions, was ill-equipped to deal with the decentralized and elusive tactics employed by the rebels. Their forces, spread thin across the galaxy, found themselves constantly on the back foot, reacting to threats rather than dictating the pace of the conflict. The news of the rebel offensive spread like wildfire, igniting a spark of hope among the oppressed populations of the hegemony. Uprisings erupted on countless planets, their inhabitants emboldened by the rebels' successes and the growing disarray within the empire. The hegemony's grip on power, once seemingly unbreakable, began to crumble under the weight of 1,000 cuts. On Earth, humanity watched the unfolding events with a mix of awe and trepidation. They knew that the rebel offensive was a double-edged sword. While it weakened the hegemony, it also increased the risk of a full-scale galactic war, a conflict that could engulf countless worlds and claim countless lives. Dr. Petrova and Jamal Malik, recognizing the gravity of the situation, redoubled their efforts. They worked tirelessly to strengthen the energy shield, ensuring its ability to protect Earth from any potential retaliation from the hegemony. They also reached out to the rebel factions, offering their support and expertise. The galaxy held its breath as the conflict escalated, the outcome uncertain. The fate of countless civilizations hung in the balance, the future of the galaxy itself poised on a precipice. The time for decisive action had come. The hegemony's response to the rebel offensive was swift and brutal, but it was also a response born of desperation and a dwindling confidence. Their fleets, once a symbol of overwhelming force, now moved with a hesitant caution, their commanders wary of ambushes and sabotage. The once proud warriors of the hegemony, accustomed to easy victories, found themselves fighting a war they didn't understand, against an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. On the front lines, the rebels fought with a ferocity born of righteous anger and a desperate yearning for freedom. They utilized guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and disappearing into the shadows before the hegemony could retaliate. They ambushed convoys, sabotaged infrastructure, and liberated entire planets from the Empire's grasp. The rebellion, once isolated pockets of resistance, now coalesced into a coordinated movement, their actions guided by a shared vision of a new galactic order. The clandestine alliance, their network of spies and informants working tirelessly behind the scenes, provided vital intelligence and logistical support. On Earth, humanity watched the escalating conflict with a mix of awe and trepidation. The Galactic Federation, true to their word, provided logistical and technological support to the rebels, but they refrained from direct military intervention. They believed that humanity and the other oppressed species had to fight their own battles, to forge their own destinies. Dr. Petrova's energy shield proved to be a crucial asset in the conflict. It not only protected Earth from potential attacks, but also served as a safe haven for rebel fighters, a place where they could regroup, rearm, and plan their next moves. The shield's energy signature, a beacon of defiance, became a rallying point for those who sought to break free from the hegemony's tyranny. Jamal Malik, his global network, now a vital conduit for information and resources, continued to rally the people of Earth. He organized rallies, concerts, and other cultural events, their message of hope and resilience echoing across the planet. He also established communication channels with the rebel leaders, offering them words of encouragement and support. As the conflict raged across the galaxy, the lines between good and evil blurred. The hegemony, desperate to maintain its grip on power, resorted to increasingly brutal tactics, their actions further alienating their subjects and solidifying the resolve of their enemies. The rebels, driven by a thirst for vengeance and a burning desire for freedom, sometimes crossed the line themselves, their actions raising ethical questions and causing rifts within their own ranks. The galaxy watched with bated breath, the outcome of the conflict hanging in the balance. The fate of countless civilizations rested on the shoulders of those who dared to fight for a better future. The galactic conflict raged on, a whirlwind of battles, betrayals, and shifting alliances. The hegemony's grip on power continued to loosen as rebellions erupted on more and more planets, their flames fanned by the winds of hope and fueled by the hegemony's own brutality. The Empire's response became increasingly desperate, their tactics growing more ruthless as they sought to maintain control. On a war-torn planet deep within hegemony territory, a fierce battle raged. Rebel forces, led by a charismatic commander named Anya Petrova, fought tooth and nail against the hegemony's elite guard. The rebels, outnumbered and outgunned, relied on their knowledge of the terrain and their unwavering determination to hold their ground. The battleground was a chaotic symphony of laser fire, explosions, and the desperate cries of the wounded. Anya, her face streaked with grime and sweat, rallied her troops, her voice echoing through the din of battle. She moved with a grace and agility that belied her scientific background, her every action a testament to her leadership and courage. Her soldiers, inspired by her example, fought with a ferocity that surprised even the most seasoned hegemony commanders. In the heart of the battle, Anya found herself face to face with Commander Zeros, a ruthless hegemony officer known for his cruelty and tactical brilliance. Their blades clashed in a blinding duel, their movements a blur of steel and energy. The outcome of their confrontation would determine the fate of the battle, and perhaps the fate of the entire rebellion. Meanwhile, on Earth, Jamal Malik continued to mobilize the global community. He organized a massive rally in front of the United Nations headquarters, drawing millions of people from every corner of the globe. The crowd, a sea of faces representing every race, religion, and nationality, chanted slogans of defiance and waved banners calling for an end to the hegemony's tyranny. Jamal, standing atop a makeshift podium, addressed the crowd with his signature eloquence and passion. He spoke of the human spirit, its resilience in the face of adversity, and its unyielding determination to forge its own destiny. His words echoed across the planet, broadcast live on every major news network, their message of hope and defiance reaching even the farthest corners of the galaxy. The Galactic Federation, observing the events on Earth, was impressed by humanity's unwavering resolve. They saw in this fledgling species a potential ally, a force for good in a galaxy that had long been dominated by darkness and oppression. They redoubled their efforts to support the rebels, providing them with advanced weapons, intelligence, and tactical advice. As the galactic conflict reached a critical juncture, the fate of countless civilizations hung in the balance. The hegemony's days of dominance were numbered, but the path to victory was fraught with peril. The rebels, united by a common cause, fought on, their determination unwavering, their spirit unbroken. The clash between Anya and Zeros, the rebel commander and the hegemony officer, became a whirlwind of steel and fury. Their blades danced in a deadly ballet, each parry and riposte a testament to their skill and determination. Zeros, fueled by the arrogance of his station and the weight of the hegemony's traditions, fought with a calculated aggression, his every move aimed at overpowering his opponent. Anya, her movements fluid and unpredictable, countered with a blend of agility and precision. Her eyes, honed by years of scientific observation, read Zeros's every move, anticipating his attacks and exploiting his vulnerabilities. The clash of their blades echoed through the war-torn landscape, a symphony of defiance and desperation. As the duel raged on, the tide of the battle began to turn. The rebel forces, inspired by Anya's tenacity, rallied and pushed back against the hegemony's advance. Their guerrilla tactics, honed in the crucible of oppression, proved to be a match for the Empire's rigid military doctrine. The hegemony's lines wavered, their once solid formation crumbling under the relentless onslaught. The rebels, sensing victory, pressed their advantage, their cries of defiance echoing across the battlefield. The hegemony soldiers, their morale shattered, began to retreat, their orderly ranks dissolving into a chaotic rout. Zeros, realizing the battle was lost, made a desperate lunge at Anya, his blade aimed at her heart. But Anya, anticipating his move, deflected his attack with a swift parry, her own blade finding its mark in his chest. The hegemony commander fell, his body collapsing in a heap, the life draining from his eyes. The rebels erupted in a chorus of jubilant cheers, their victory a testament to their courage and the power of their united spirit. Anya, her face streaked with sweat and blood, stood over Zeros's fallen form, her heart filled with a mixture of triumph and sorrow. She had won the battle, but the war was far from over. News of the rebel victory spread like wildfire, igniting a wave of hope and inspiration across the galaxy. Oppressed populations on countless planets rose up in defiance, their cries for freedom echoing across the stars. The hegemony's control, once absolute and unyielding, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. On Earth, Jamal Malik received the news with a mix of elation and caution. He knew that the war was far from over, that the hegemony would not go down without a fight. But he also recognized the significance of the rebel victory, the spark of hope it had ignited in the hearts of countless individuals across the galaxy. The Galactic Federation, their confidence in humanity's potential bolstered by the rebels' success, pledged their unwavering support. They sent emissaries to Earth, offering to share their knowledge and resources to help humanity prepare for the challenges ahead. They spoke of a new era of cooperation and understanding, a future where all sentient beings could live in peace and harmony. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what the future held. The seeds of change had been sown, the old order crumbling. The time for a new beginning was at hand. As weeks turned into months, the galactic conflict intensified, engulfing countless star systems in its fiery embrace. The hegemony's once mighty fleets, now battered and demoralized, fought a desperate rearguard action against the relentless onslaught of the rebel forces. Every victory, no matter how small, was celebrated as a triumph of defiance against tyranny. On the embattled planet where Anya Petrova had led her troops to victory, a new chapter in the conflict unfolded. The hegemony, desperate to regain control of this strategically important world, launched a massive counteroffensive. Their forces, bolstered by reinforcements from neighboring sectors, descended upon the planet with overwhelming force. Anya, now a seasoned commander, rallied her troops, her voice a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. She knew that the odds were stacked against them, that the hegemony's superior firepower and numbers could easily overwhelm their defenses. But she also knew that the fate of the rebellion, the future of the galaxy, rested on their shoulders. The battle raged for days, a brutal and bloody affair that tested the limits of human endurance. The rebels, outnumbered and outgunned, fought with the ferocity of cornered animals, their backs against the wall. They utilized every advantage they could find, every scrap of cover, every ounce of ingenuity, to hold back the hegemony's advance. Anya, her face etched with the strain of command, led from the front, her tactical brilliance and unwavering courage inspiring her troops. She coordinated their movements, directing their fire, and bolstering their morale with her unwavering belief in their cause. The battle raged on, a desperate struggle for survival against overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, on Earth, Jamal Malik continued his tireless efforts to mobilize the global community. He organized a series of interplanetary cultural festivals, showcasing the diversity and richness of human traditions. These events, broadcast across the galaxy, served as a powerful reminder of the beauty and resilience of the human spirit. The Galactic Federation, impressed by humanity's unwavering resolve, stepped up their support for the rebels. They provided them with advanced weapons, intelligence, and tactical advice. They also dispatched a fleet of their own warships, their presence a powerful deterrent to any further hegemony aggression. As the galactic conflict reached a fever pitch, the lines between good and evil blurred. The hegemony, desperate to maintain its grip on power, resorted to increasingly desperate measures, their actions further alienating their subjects and solidifying the resolve of their enemies. The rebels, driven by a thirst for vengeance and a burning desire for freedom, faced their own moral dilemmas, their actions sometimes crossing the line into brutality. The galaxy watched with bated breath, the outcome of the conflict hanging in the balance. The fate of countless civilizations rested on the shoulders of those who dared to fight for a better future. The war for the galaxy's soul raged on, a maelstrom of conflicting ideologies, clashing technologies, and raw emotion. On the front lines, rebel forces continued their relentless guerrilla campaign, their victories small but significant. They chipped away at the hegemony's power, their every success a testament to the strength of unity and the unyielding spirit of defiance. Anya Petrova, now a legendary figure among the rebels, led her troops with a tactical brilliance that belied her scientific origins. She had become a symbol of hope, a beacon of inspiration for those who yearned for freedom. Her name was whispered in hushed tones on countless planets, her exploits recounted in tales of bravery and cunning. On Earth, Jamal Malik's global network continued to mobilize the masses, their collective voice a powerful force for change. They organized massive demonstrations, their calls for justice and accountability echoing across continents. They leveraged their economic power, boycotting hegemony-affiliated businesses and disrupting their supply chains. The hegemony, battered and bruised, yet still clinging to its delusions of grandeur, responded with a mix of brutality and desperation. They launched punitive expeditions against rebellious planets, their fleets raining down destruction upon civilian populations. They tightened their grip on information, censoring news feeds and suppressing dissent. But their efforts were in vain. The tide had turned, and the Empire's days were numbered. Within the hegemony's inner circle, a power struggle raged. Elder Lyra, her vision of a reformed and democratic empire gaining traction, faced fierce opposition from the old guard. They clung to their power, their paranoia and fear fueling their resistance to change. Kel, exiled but not forgotten, watched the unfolding chaos with a twisted sense of satisfaction. He saw in the hegemony's struggles an opportunity to return, to reclaim his lost power, and to reshape the empire in his own image. He began to rally his supporters, his whispers of vengeance and promises of restored glory resonating with those who yearned for a return to the old ways. The Galactic Federation, their patience wearing thin, grew increasingly concerned about the escalating conflict. They feared that the hegemony's desperation would lead them to deploy weapons of mass destruction, engulfing the galaxy in a catastrophic war. They debated the merits of direct intervention, of sending their fleets to join the fight against the hegemony. But such a move would be a risky gamble, one that could ignite a wider conflict and plunge the galaxy into chaos. As the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, the stage was set for a final showdown. The rebels, emboldened by their successes and the growing support from the Galactic Federation, prepared for a decisive strike against the hegemony. The Empire, weakened but still dangerous, rallied its remaining forces, determined to defend its legacy at any cost. The galaxy watched with bated breath, the outcome of this epic clash uncertain. The fall of Nexus Prime sent shockwaves across the galaxy, signaling a seismic shift in the balance of power. News of the rebel victory spread like wildfire, igniting hope in the hearts of the oppressed and striking fear into the core of the hegemony. The Empire's facade of invincibility had been shattered, its once mighty grip on the galaxy loosening with each passing day. The liberated citizens of Nexus Prime, their spirits soaring with newfound freedom, erupted in jubilant celebrations. The streets, once patrolled by hegemony enforcers, now overflowed with dancing, singing, and impromptu parades. The air crackled with a palpable sense of optimism, a belief that a brighter future was within reach. Anya Petrova, hailed as a hero by the liberated populace, stood on the steps of the former hegemony headquarters, now a symbol of their triumph. She addressed the jubilant crowd, her voice amplified by the planet's newly restored communication network. She spoke of the sacrifices made, the battles fought, and the unwavering determination that had led them to this momentous victory. But she also cautioned against complacency, reminding them that the war was far from over. Jamal Malik, back on Earth, watched the scenes of jubilation on Nexus Prime with a mix of pride and concern. He knew that the hegemony would not accept defeat easily, that they would lash out in desperation. He redoubled his efforts to mobilize the global community, urging them to prepare for the possibility of retaliation. The Galactic Federation, their confidence in the Rebel Alliance bolstered by the victory on Nexus Prime, increased their support. They dispatched additional warships to patrol the borders of hegemony space, their presence a silent warning to the Empire's leaders. They also sent envoys to other neutral civilizations, urging them to join the growing coalition against the hegemony. Within the hegemony, the mood was one of despair and recrimination. The Council of Elders, their authority crumbling, engaged in bitter infighting, their once unified voice now a cacophony of blame and accusation. Elder Lyra, her position precarious, struggled to maintain order and prevent the Empire from descending into chaos. Kel, sensing an opportunity in the hegemony's weakness, emerged from the shadows. He rallied his remaining supporters, their ranks swollen by those who had lost faith in Lyra's leadership and yearned for a return to the old ways. He promised them a restoration of the Empire's former glory, a return to the days of unquestioned dominance. The galaxy watched with bated breath as the final showdown loomed on the horizon. The forces of freedom and oppression, hope and despair, were poised for a cataclysmic clash that would determine the fate of countless civilizations. The hegemony, teetering on the brink of collapse, became a hotbed of intrigue and betrayal. Kel, fueled by his thirst for revenge, orchestrated a coup d'etat, ousting Elder Lyra from power and seizing control of the council. He promised to restore the hegemony to its former glory, to crush the rebellion, and to punish those who had dared to defy their rule. Kel's return to power sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The rebels, who had been on the cusp of victory, now faced a renewed threat, a desperate enemy willing to do anything to maintain its grip on power. The Galactic Federation, alarmed by the turn of events, debated whether to intervene directly, their commitment to non-interference tested by the specter of galactic war. On Earth, humanity watched the unfolding drama with a mix of dread and determination. They knew that Kel's return to power would mean a renewed assault on their planet, a desperate attempt to quell the rebellion and restore the hegemony's authority. They braced themselves for the inevitable, their resolve strengthened by their hard-won freedoms and their unwavering belief in their own potential. Dr. Petrova, her scientific mind racing, worked tirelessly to upgrade the energy shield, enhancing its capabilities and preparing it for the onslaught that was to come. She knew that the shield, while powerful, was not invincible. It could only buy them time, a precious window of opportunity to rally their allies and prepare for the final showdown. Jamal Malik, his global network galvanized by the threat of renewed hegemony aggression, launched a massive propaganda campaign. He used every available platform, social media, news outlets, holographic projections to expose the hegemony's atrocities and rally support for the rebel cause. His message of hope and defiance resonated with people across the galaxy, inspiring a wave of solidarity and resistance. As the hegemony's fleets amassed on the outskirts of the Sol system, a tense standoff ensued. The Galactic Federation, their warships deployed in a show of force, warned Kel against any aggressive action. But Kel, his mind clouded by vengeance and ambition, refused to back down. He believed that humanity was the key to his victory, their defiance the source of the hegemony's weakness. He vowed to crush them, to make an example of them, and to restore the Empire's dominance once and for all. The galaxy held its breath, the fate of countless civilizations hanging in the balance. The final battle was about to begin, the culmination of years of conflict, sacrifice, and unwavering determination. The echoes of regret, once a whisper in the corridors of power, now roared like a thunderclap, heralding a new era in galactic history. The Hegemony's fleet, a monstrous armada of warships, descended upon Earth, their engines thrumming with a menacing hum. The planet's defenders, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and determination, braced themselves for the onslaught. The energy shield, shimmering like a protective dome around the planet, crackled with energy as it deflected the Hegemony's initial volley of laser fire. In the command center, deep beneath the Earth's surface, Dr. Petrova and her team monitored the shield's performance, their faces etched with concentration. They had spent countless hours preparing for this moment, fine-tuning the shield's parameters and developing contingency plans for every possible scenario. But this was the ultimate test, the moment of truth that would determine the fate of humanity. On the surface, Jamal Malik rallied the global community, his voice booming through the network of speakers and screens that had been erected in every city and town. He spoke of courage, of resilience, of the unbreakable spirit that had carried humanity through countless challenges throughout its history. His words echoed across the planet, a rallying cry that stirred the hearts of millions. The Hegemony's assault intensified, their warships unleashing a relentless barrage of fire upon the shield. The dome flickered and wavered, its energy reserves draining rapidly. Dr. Petrova, her brow furrowed with concern, ordered her team to divert power from non-essential systems, focusing all available resources on maintaining the shield's integrity. In the heart of the Hegemony fleet, Kel watched the battle unfold with a cold fury. He had underestimated the humans, their resilience, and their technological prowess. But he refused to admit defeat. He ordered his flagship, a colossal dreadnought bristling with weapons, to break through the shield and rain destruction upon the planet. The dreadnought, its engines roaring, charged towards the shield, its massive cannons primed to fire. The shield, weakened but still holding, strained to deflect the incoming energy blast. The world held its breath, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. In a final desperate gamble, Dr. Petrova ordered a risky maneuver. She redirected the energy shield's power, focusing it into a single, concentrated beam aimed directly at the dreadnought. The beam, a blinding lance of pure energy, pierced through the void, striking the Hegemony flagship with devastating force. The dreadnought shuddered, its shields collapsing, its hull rupturing. It exploded in a cataclysmic fireball, its fragments raining down upon the planet like fiery meteors. The destruction of the dreadnought marked a turning point in the battle. The Hegemony forces, demoralized by the loss of their flagship and their leader, began to retreat. The rebels, their spirits soaring, pressed their advantage, their fighters swarming the fleeing enemy ships. The battle raged on, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The Hegemony had been defeated, their reign of terror brought to an end. Humanity, against all odds, had prevailed, their courage and resilience a beacon of hope for the galaxy.